Welcome to Frankie the Podcast, the companion podcast to the trans visibility animated film Frankie the Magicorn. This first batch of podcasts will consist of interviews with a number of trans individuals who want to share their stories and contribute to the project. Today's guest is our composer, Ronen Kohn. That's me.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. Feeling good.
Thank you for joining us today for the podcast portion of the interview. And please introduce yourself, name and pronouns, my friend.
I am Ronen. I go by many pronouns in my life. Most people use he or they. Among more like queer circles, I go by a set of neo-pronouns that are fae, fair, fairs.
Please elaborate.
They are, it's spelled F-A-E. So if you think of like the fae, insert fluttery hand gesture, that's...
Oh, no, wait, can I do the
sort of
hand gesture? I'm sorry.
Sure you can.
So really?
So yeah.
So that's a pronoun people are using.
It is, yeah. It's and it's part of a kind of subcategory called neo-pronouns, where they are sort of like neo, they're new, they're not widely used, which is why I'm like... only usually in certain circles and if people are cool with it. And it's more aligned with non-binary genderqueer identities than, say, a binary trans woman or trans man, usually.
Awesome. I look forward to its accepted usage widely. Let's see. Oh, how would you describe your career or your dream aspirations?
So my dream aspirations are pretty much... to be an artist, to make art and just keep making art. I have a day job that I'm trying to make into something that I really enjoy, but at the same time, I'm also trying to develop my music, and I do a lot of cosplay.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
Who was it that retweeted your picture of Crowley from Good Omens?
That was Neil Gaiman. Neil himself.
Was that at the most recent 2019 221B Con?
It was, yes.
And who is our dear friend that you were dressing with as your Aziraphale?
Oh, yes, Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they do, I don't know their pronouns, is just exceptional.
She is she.
Everything she does. Like 221B was my first experience learning about new pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, because I was in the dark for a long time, like a lot of people. And then, like, someone had on a name tag that said, my pronouns are, and I was thought, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
People are telling me to, if you just introduce yourself, like, welcome to the semester students, I'm Professor Sketch, he, him, and we're just like, hi, I'm Sketch, he, him, or something.
Yeah.
It's a helpful thing, and it helps to normalize it, everyday conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the way, like, there used to be this trend of everyone go around and say your pronouns, but that can be kind of a vulnerable position for a trans person to be in, especially if they're not out. And also some people are going to be jerks and make jokes about it. So now the thing that you're talking about is more prevalent, where it just introduced the idea of pronouns, and that lets people know that it's safe to express that part of themselves to you. Thumbs up.
Let's see. Hobbies. How do you, esteemed retweeted cosplayer Ronen, unwind?
For unwinding, usually these days Overwatch. Yeah. I'm a Junkrat main, but I can also play Diva or Lucio, because teams usually need a tank or a healer. I was never a fan of first-person shooters until I started playing Overwatch. And it was one of those like free weekends where you could play for free for Saturday, Sunday, and then you could buy the game on Monday. And that's what happened. And I've been playing it for like 2 years.
Well, what's the thing that made Overwatch stand out to you?
Probably the versatility of the characters, I don't know if versatility is the right word. They're all different. There's a more eloquent way of saying that. But Diversity, yes. Yeah. Because even in the sense that it's like I tried to play Fallout 4, and you have to be so specific with your aiming that I just couldn't. I didn't have the patience to learn the new motor skills for that. But with Overwatch, there's some characters you don't have to aim as much with, like Junkrat. You can just sort of fire his little bombs off in an area. Once you've played for a while, you can start learning different tricks with it, but it's not always about the precision, and every character has a different set of skills, so you can usually find something that is fun for you.
Okay, I have a question for you that I will bring up later on. We'll table the question for now, but it's going to come, and I don't need an answer now. If Overwatch were to make a character called Ronen, based on you, what would they be like? Not now, we'll get back to that later. It'll be laying there in the back of your mind on like a chaise lounge, maturing into a proper answer. All right, so to your history, what was your childhood like? How did your identity shape during that time?
So I was, my standard line is I was raised in suburban New York by a pack of wild folk musicians.
Nice.
Yeah. My dad is a professional musician. My mom was an elementary school teacher. I say was because she's recently retired and enjoying it very much.
Nice.
And I was fortunate in that I grew up in a pretty liberal area. You know, it's suburban New York. It's just outside the city. It was a diverse place, culturally and economically. We went to school. We actually had sexual education, which I know is more than some people can say. And we had a GSA at my high school, which was a gay straight alliance. And I mean, I'm kind of spiraling off in a different direction here.
No. Feel free.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, because I'm one of those people who went all the way through high school and almost all the way through college going like, I am definitely a straight cis person. Look at me, totally normal over here.
Well, when you say it like that.
Yeah. Anyway, and part of that was just not being aware, say, that trans men or genderqueer people were a thing. It was kind of this blind spot for me for several years. I knew that trans women existed. I didn't really understand how they lived. Like, my context for it was the movie Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And the three main characters, they're all drag queens, but one is a trans woman, and my mind kind of muddled them together.
Is that the Terrence Stamp lady?
Yeah. And it wasn't until my senior year of high school where a friend of mine came out as a trans man that I was like, that's a thing. And, you know, kind of spent the next few years in a limbo, because I would do this sort of mind exercise like, I don't really feel, am I a woman? I don't think so. Do I want to be a man? I'm not sure. And it wasn't then until I picked up a book by Kate Bornstein, The Gender Workbook, that I opened it, started reading the first few pages, and the word genderqueer jumped out at me. And it was one of those moments where, you know, a light just turns on. I was like, oh, yes, that's me. That's what I am. So when you ask me what my childhood was like and how my identity got shaped, at the moment, it's a little hard to say. It's like I'm still kind of sorting through all of this in a brand new context, even though I'm talking about 10 years ago when I first discovered the term, because there was a whole journey after that. But it feels kind of hard to say how my identity was shaped when I was almost unaware of my identity for so long. That's kind of end of thought.
No, that's fine. And the dog just entered the room. Hi, sweetie. What? No, I don't have any crumbs under my desk today. Oh, yes, you do. Yes, fine. Swim on the rug. It's okay. We love you. Okay, you know, I'm just. Hey, were there, say, heteronormative? Okay, so sorry. You see this?
Now I wish my cat was here.
Yeah, you see the insulation behind me in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like, it's only on like the walls and ceiling, except for this one corner where it's on the floor too. And Marla loves to curl up in it and like thrash in it like it's a dead creature. It is the most adorable thing that's off. Oh, wait, I could have pointed this camera. It's just a ball on a string, and now she's done. Dang it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that was so great, but off screen, and I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, what were some heteronormative or, like, traditional gender activities that your parents or school or other entity tried to impose on you that you weren't, that didn't sit right?
I think.
Okay, hold on. There, she's doing it again.
Oh.
Love you, Marla.
Cutie.
What do you want, sweetie? Daddy's interviewing someone. Okay, go talk to your mommy. I love you. I really should have closed the door. I love you. Wow, it worked.
Ooh.
Okay, you were
Bye,
saying.
puppy.
Bye, puppy. Okay, you were saying. I'm sorry.
Yep. There wasn't a huge amount, but there were some. Um, Things like asking for a certain toy when we were on a trip. Like, do you remember they had those Mighty Max?
Yes, with his
Yes.
buddy Norman and Virgil, the bird guy.
Well, I don't remember because I never had one.
Oh,
Um,
the
but
cartoon is fun. You should look it up.
oh, sure.
Yeah.
I remember asking for one in the store, and it was like, but that's a boy's toy, and sort of getting talked out of it.
In the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or like wanting to shop in the boys section of the clothing store and being told it wouldn't look good on me. So it's like there's those two specific memories stand out really clearly. I know in terms of activities, I was never that restricted as long as I like expressed an interest in something. I did kung fu when I was in high school. I also was a cheerleader in middle school, which is something I like to bring up because people never expect it. And there were things that were associated with my assigned gender that I liked and I still like. I mean, I paint my nails now still. So holding up my pink fingernails.
Well, who doesn't love that?
Exactly.
No, I mean, I enjoy it too. It's just one of the, and as you know, one of the great things about being a dude is you can be so lazy.
Yeah. Yep. I made the decision to grow my hair out, and the only thing I don't like about it is how often I have to wash it, because otherwise it just gets gross.
Here's one I enjoy. Who were some characters or celebrities that you wanted to be like when you grew up?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Roger Rabbit. Yeah.
Samesies. Please go on.
Yep. Oh man, I love that movie. Also, it traumatized me as a child, but I love it. The shoe getting executed.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure I had to leave the room when that happened, and I was 8, 10 years old watching it. But yeah, I always loved Roger so much. His one quote about a laugh's a very powerful thing. Sometimes in life, it's the only weapon we have. Yeah, and just finding a way to make things fun but also being very brave. He's a very brave character as well. You know, he wants to go save Jessica and he wants to help with solving the mystery and all that. Yeah, I mean, my mind went right to him. There were probably others.
That's cool. I mean, if they come to you, let me know. Send me a message. I can do supplementary interviews too. It's fine.
Thinking of more as we sit here.
Exactly.
So there was him, and then later on, let's see. Oh, it would have been much later on, because the second character I thought of, and we're doing a bit of a switch here, is Tony Stark. And Iron Man came out like 11 years ago. And I knew of the character, but I wasn't a huge comic reader. So I really got into it through the movies.
Yeah, I was a huge comic reader, and I didn't give any craps about Iron Man until the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was the movie. Yeah.
Yep.
The movie did it. Mm-hmm. Oh, why didn't I close that door? I love you,
Oh,
honey.
boy.
Go away. You were saying.
And also maybe it's not that much of a jump, because Tony also has that kind of like carefree, living his life, having the great time thing. Hello, puppy.
Yeah, everybody wanted to be Tony Stark. You were saying.
Yeah, everyone wanted to be Tony Stark.
But we're talking about you. I'm sorry. I don't know how to interview people.
And but specifically the reason he comes to mind is I have very vivid dreams, and yeah, I had a dream where I was Tony. So again, this is like 11 years ago. This is right when Iron Man came out. This is also, if you recall from like 5 minutes past in the conversation, right around the time I'm kind of starting to figure everything out. So I had a dream where I was Tony, and I was talking with, it was like the scene where he's talking with Obadiah next to the giant arc reactor. It was very mundane, except for I turned to the side and saw a mirror and saw my reflection. I had never seen my reflection in a dream before, first of all, to like look in a mirror and see a face looking back and know that it's yours. And also it was Tony Stark's face. And it was, you know, a male face and a male body, to put it in like a broader, meaningful context. And it was just one of those powerful dreams. You know, you wake up feeling like something has shifted into place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe I should add a dream sequence. We'll see what fits. But yeah, that's definitely something that needs to go into the notes. Thank you.
Great.
Can you tell us about your experience, if any, with binding?
Yes. I do it. I have done it. I can't remember. I don't think I ever used ace bandages because by the time I started researching it, the information was already out there that you shouldn't. So I've mostly ordered my binders from online. Had a few experiences with just ordering the cheapo ones off of Amazon that come internationally, and then they're sized weirdly and they're not actually great. But I learned pretty quickly that those, they didn't feel good to wear. So why keep wearing them? But I've never done it on a daily basis. It's more of a thing like some days I'll just wake up with a lot of chest dysphoria and decide to wear the binder. The other thing I started using in the last year or so was binding tape, which is not the same as an ace bandage. It's basically KT tape, I think is the medical term for it. It's like the stuff that runners put it on to support their muscles. I think that's support their somethings. Anyway, it's safer than ace bandages because it's not going all the way around your chest. It just sort of sits on the front and goes around the side. And so it doesn't actually restrict your chest. You can wear it for more than 8 hours without having to take it off. The only downside is it's a little rough on your skin because it's literally tape. It's great.
I've been advised.
I've used it a lot for cosplay because of the lack of a time limit. I don't have to worry about, oh God, it's been 8 hours. I have to change immediately.
I've been advised to, well, not me personally, but the young men out there to soak it off is what I'm told. Because, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, also a few friends have suggested like the KT tape if you're doing like
open
semi-bare,
chest.
like open shirt. Yeah, like a Tony Stark sort of thing.
Indeed.
Or, a Crowley.
Yeah.
There you go. I really should have just set up a booth at 221BCon this year for interviews. Yeah.
Or Bacchus from The Magicians, which I cosplayed last year, and who wears no shirt but a blazer.
Cool. How far into this series is he? I only got to like episode 3.
Oh, episode 3?
Yeah.
He doesn't show up until like season 3.
I need to give him more of a chance.
Yeah.
Also, I hear that Magicians is one of the things that gets me about soft or hard magic systems in fiction. It's like a genetic trait. It's not egalitarian, but in Magicians, anybody can be a magician. It's just like anybody can be a musician depending on how much work and time you put into it.
Right. There's an element of talent, but also it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I love. It's just, like when you see, oh, the Jedi have these things in them, and you have to be born a waterbender, and I love them all, but yeah, it's sad. Sorry, who was most supportive of you in your journey?
That would have to be my husband, John. Yeah. We started dating years before I came out. So we started dating in college, and it was near the end of college that I discovered that book by Kate Bornstein. And John and I talked about it a lot, as you do in these kinds of situations. And he was just eternally supportive. He, only wants me to be happy as myself, and he loves me, and he wants to be with me. And so that was why I eventually wound up proposing to him. And we've been married about 6.5 years now.
Oh, mazel.
So, thank you.
What are some things you have heard from people who don't get it? I'll follow that up with, what's the stupidest thing you've ever heard?
Ooh, I don't know. I try not to hold on to that stuff.
You're a bigger man than me.
Yeah. But things from people who don't really get it. I mean, I imagine you've heard some version of this for this stuff from a lot of folks, like, oh yeah, I liked to play with action figures too when I was a kid, or ladies saying, oh yeah, I was a tomboy, I get it.
Oh, what do you think of the word tomboy? Like, what does that mean to you now? What are the connotations?
The connotations are actually like, I have no problem with it, but I have a history with it, because even though as a kid, I liked to wear dresses. Again, like, there were feminine things I always enjoyed. I decided I was a tomboy because I heard that was a girl who was like a boy, and I was like, that's me. third grade Ronen talking. But yeah, I have no issue with the phrase.
Cool. Context would help. When do people say, I used to play with action figures as a kid too?
Oh, basically when sometimes as a trans person, when you start sharing your story, it's a natural human response to like try and find some common ground with the person you're talking to. But there's a danger of like equating the two things. That it's like, that's not really what it is. Actually, I once had someone at a party go on this long thing about this roommate of his that was trans. And I'm not sure why he was telling me this story. I think he was trying to like let me know he was cool or something, but he was just being really awkward about it because like the pronouns weren't right and it was just clumsy. And I'm like, that's cool. Can I go over here now? Like, I'm glad you had a roommate once. That's fun.
Okay, so relevant to something in the thing, like I figured I'd bring in some characters, the sisters Banff. And they would sing a song when they meet Frankie. It's like, you don't have to change because you're perfect as you are. And, like, that's a great sentiment for any other topic.
Right.
But not this one. So what would you say to a weird robot girl, they're robots now, who would say that to you?
The reason that's hard is I'm not very good at standing up for myself.
What would Roger Rabbit say?
I know, yeah. That's a really good question.
He's the big reason I became an animator, and possibly why I married a tall redhead. But
hey,
yeah.
Life goals?
Yep.
So you're perfect as you are.
And I have a lot of questions. We can come back.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let that simmer as well.
Cool. So you're still in the process of transitioning, like you have top surgery scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a great old month-long vacation of not being able to lift your arms. And my condolences. What are your plans? Do you have any plans, a list of what you're going to do post-transition?
I would have said no, except that now stuff keeps coming up. And it was interesting. It's like I never used to think about a post-transition, the concept of something being finished. Especially because, I'm having surgery, but I'm still going to be taking testosterone and some changes are still going to happen. I mean, I currently have this tiny patch of dark hair that comes in under my chin. You can't see it because I shave it off, but...
And it's a camera resolution thing, but yeah.
Exactly. But there's going to be more of that. So can I really say that I'm post anything after the surgery? I'm not sure. At the same time, it turns out that for me, the surgery feels like a step that's going to allow me to put myself out there in ways that I haven't done it before. And I mean that in a sense of just being more open to the world. It's something that I didn't even really consider when I decided to get the surgery, but the closer that it comes, stuff like I released those Crowley cosplay photos and one of my friends was like, you should do modeling. I've made half-hearted attempts in the past and it's hard to promote yourself as a non-binary model, but that's not a reason not to try to do it. And when I thought about trying again after the surgery, I was like, I can see like making more of an effort now. So yeah, as far as plans after the surgery, that's what I've got.
What is your advice for trans children?
Oh.
Yeah.
Just continue being awesome. I mean, I'm on Twitter, so I see a lot of younger trans people just existing out in the world. I guess they're not children, those folks. They're in their late teens, early 20s. I don't know. I think advice for any kid is just keep being awesome. Try to keep being yourself as much as you can, whatever that means for you. I think that's the best thing anyone can do.
Yeah. What's your advice for cis allies? Oh, is the kitty here?
The kitty's here.
Hi, kitty.
Hi, Cole.
You want to meet my puppy?
You want to be on camera? Doo-doo-doo. Come here. Oh, kitty.
Oh, that face.
Yes, he's a sweetie.
He's one of those toys that were like a tube full of water, and if you squeeze it, it like shot out of your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't like being on camera. I don't know why. Every time
How would he
every
know?
time I do a live stream, he disappears.
How does he know?
I don't know.
Like
He says Ronen's talking to the computer again.
Like your self-image is probably tiny and minimized, so he probably can't even see himself.
Yeah.
On your screen. I don't know. Oh, what's your advice for cis allies?
Advice for cis allies. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, because it's probably going to happen. And just be honest about your intention to help. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. When you do make a mistake, listen and adjust. And we'll all have a chill time.
Are you currently undergoing tea treatment?
Yes.
So this is just a weird one that relates to nothing, but has your tastes changed any?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I used to hate cheese on sandwiches, and now I like it. That was like a marked difference. And I think it was because, when you start introducing testosterone, people's appetites usually go up. I think my body was just suddenly craving more calories. And it's like, here's another little slice of calories to put on your sandwich.
So yeah, how did the famous 3 H's treat you?
3 H's?
Yeah, always,
yeah. Hungry, horny, and what's the third one?
Hot.
Hot.
Physically hot is the one I hear a lot.
The hot one is fine because I've always had very bad circulation. So I feel like I've kind of gotten my body temperature to a good place. So that's fine. And as far as hungry goes, yeah, my appetite went up. I did gain some weight, but also before I started testosterone, I was underweight or almost underweight. And that was just like how I existed. So it was interesting how for those 2 issues, testosterone just kind of correct. And as far as horny goes, that is a thing. But I'm also on anti-anxiety medication, so again, it kind of balances out.
Lexapro is a hell of a thing. What's a movie, show, or book that just pissed you off, or just made you go, "What the hell," or something? Like they just don't get it.
Yeah, thinking. I mean, I know there's been a significant amount.
Yeah, I want to say everything ever kind of up to now kind of falls in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you started the question, I was ready to talk about stuff that had gotten it right. So I was like,
that's my next question. You want to jump to what? Let's jump to that. What's a movie, show, book, etc. that really gets it?
So not that I would recommend this show to everyone, but also a lot of people watch it. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Was the first time I ever saw what I consider to be an accurate trans representation.
What season was this?
This is she shows up a few times throughout. The main characters, who are assholes, refer to her as the T slur, but they knew there were just things they got right about her as a character. They got the fact that surgery often happens after hormones. It's not like a one and done thing. You just like trans yourself and you're done. There was the episode, I think it's like Dennis Fights Gay Marriage or Mac Fights Gay Marriage, where she showed up again and she had a husband, and, Mac, being the like far-right Christian guy, comes back to the bar. It's like, it's a gay marriage. And the other characters look at him and like, one's a man, one's a woman. How is that gay? And it was just matter of fact to them. So not a show for everyone, but a good representation. Another example was Elementary, where the Miss Hudson character is trans and played by a trans woman. And I remember in that case, I was watching the episode live and I missed like the entire plot because they handled it so well. They introduced the idea clearly but subtly and just let it exist. And that was something I'd never seen before. So I was just distracted throughout the entire episode.
Oh, right. I forgot about her.
Yeah.
There she is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they only brought her back a few times, but
yeah.
So yeah, those are 2 that jump out as getting it right.
Yeah, something to speak on in favor of It's Always Sunny. It kind of feels like a morality play at times because, like,
Mm-hmm.
their lives are horrible because they're horrible people.
And they never
Whereas,
get what they want.
yeah, exactly. So it's great like that. Whereas, like, Peter Griffin is the worst human being ever, and he always gets away with it.
Oh yeah, that was one that got it not greatly.
Yeah. Seth MacFarlane's finally growing because the Orville is amazing, but most of his animated products are part of the douchebag agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been told the Orville is good by John, so I believe it.
The first 2 episodes you can skip, but like starting episode 3, it's like, wow, this is Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it's back. And
Yes,
now the
I've
Klingons
heard,
are
like,
all
it's
dudes.
more Star Trek than the current Star Trek.
I hear that. I haven't seen the new one yet because I don't want to pay for that. But yeah, Orville's pretty great. And there's this recent episode. Never mind. Your experience. Sorry. Back to you. All right. So let's say this whole project explodes. Hypothetically, it explodes. It's big. And everybody on Tumblr, or not Tumblr, everybody on Twitter loves it. And all these people are volunteering to be the narrator. Who would you cast as the narrator if you had your druthers?
So, my mind jumped to a very specific person, and I have to look up her name because I was like, the person who played the thing in the thing, and
no, in the thing was played by
oh no,
by monster puppets. Sorry, I'm being stupid.
So there is an actress named Candace Kane.
Wait, is that from Elementary?
Was she Miss Hudson? Because the context I thought of her in just now was The Magicians. She played the Fairy Queen. Oh, she was Miss Hudson.
Yeah. That's the first thing I saw when I looked it up. Hey, all right. I need to hear some of her voice. But cool.
So she does have a great voice, and also my brain went like, unicorns, Fairy Queen. Ah.
Ooh. There we are. Let's see.
Well, I've always been kind of a showboat.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous voice. Awesome. Cool. All right. Definitely on my list. If you were to have a montage done of your transition journey, what song would play over top it?
Here It Goes Again by OK Go.
Oh, man.
I don't exactly know why, but I know that when I used to imagine some kind of like YouTube montage of photos and videos, because there was a trend for a while of people doing that. I don't know if they do anymore. That was the song in my head.
Oh, speaking of, as a musician, I would love this idea to get out there some more. If you know anybody pre-transition who is a singer, ask them to sing part of a duet, and then after they transition, do some Natalie Cole and do the other side. Yeah. Idea. Anyway, what's your opinion of drag?
Drag is great as a concept. I love the concept of drag as an acknowledgement that gender is a performance and taking it to the most grand extremes. I did a minute of more genderqueer drag a few years ago, and it was fun. I'm possibly working on another routine now that I might do at Dragon Con. We'll see. Yeah.
Is there a drag show at Dragon Con, or?
Not that I know officially, but I just had this idea, and I went on Facebook. I'm like, just like someone let me do it at your room party and record it. It'll be fine. Yeah.
If you get it polished up, you might be able to submit it to the burlesque show, and they could just be something cool in there. But there's got to be some sort of LGBT thing at the con. I don't know.
There's got to be.
There's got to be. Has someone saved your life?
Ooh.
Yeah.
When I think about mostly the people that have saved my life are the creators of the art that I've been following over the years. For a long time, when I was struggling with, intrusive thoughts and the depression and dysphoria, a lot of what kept me going was stuff like listening to Cabin Pressure, the BBC radio sitcom.
Yes, with famously with Benedict Cumberbatch, and I forgot the other dude's name. He was he was the mouth of the bad guys in V for Vendetta. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And John Finnemore, who wrote it. I sometimes say that John Finnemore saved my life, even if he does know it.
Have you helped someone else in that respect?
Not that I specifically know, but there is I feel like I've had a lot of opportunities to support people, and I hope I've shown up for them in those instances. Yeah.
Cool.
But I don't have any specific stories about that.
Second to last question. If Overwatch were going to make a character named Ronen based off of you, tell us about him.
Well, he would be a junker because the junkers are the most interesting.
Elaborate on junkers, please.
Oh, junkers. Junkertown is a place in Australia. That's where Junkrat and Roadhog come from. And it's basically Mad Max world. And I got really excited when they released Junkertown as a stage. One of my favorite parts about Junkertown is one of the spawn points is a bar with a stage and a guitar. And I'm like, can I just live in this bar, please? So yeah, the Ronen character would be a junker musician. I have no idea what my fighting style would be, but it's Overwatch, so it would be something just like cartoonish and silly. Like my guitar would also be a flamethrower or something.
Shiny and chrome, witness!
Yeah. Yes, witness me.
Last question. Does it get better?
Yes. It definitely can, but the getting it to get better can sometimes be really hard. You just have to trust yourself and the people that you love.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you again, Ronen.
Thank you. Glad we could do this.
Bye, dude.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us for Frankie the Podcast. For more on our Kickstarter and the animated short we're trying to produce, please visit www.frankieismagic.love. Our special guest was me, Ronen Kohn, and then they asked me to be the announcer. This first batch of interviews were conducted by our producer and animation director, Sketch McQuinner. Intro music by Chicago-based musician Ronen Kohn. I'm Ronen Kohn. Spread the word and be your authentic self. Thanks so much.